Billionaire CEO visits his mother in the hospital, then sees his ex-wife with triplets next door and freezes. The elevator doors open on the wrong floor, and Dominic Reyes stood there, phone in hand, thumb still, hovering over a message he would never answer, because 20 feet away, through a door that was halfway open, he saw her. Vera, his ex-wife, the woman he had destroyed 3 years ago. She was sitting in a hospital bed, and she was holding a baby. No, not a baby. Babies. 3 of them. 3 creeps surrounding her like a fortress. Dominic could not move, could not breathe, could not do anything except stand in the hallway and watch Vera, lifted each infant to her chest, kissing foreheads, whispering words he could not hear. And then she looked up. Their eyes met across 30 feet of linoleum and fluorescent light, and Dominic watched something close behind her face. Something that used to be open, something that used to belong to him. She turned away, said something to the nurse. The door closed. Dominic stood in the hallway for a long time, long enough for his phone to buzz 6 more times, long enough for 2 nurses to walk past him without asking if he was okay, long enough for the math to finish itself in his head. 3 babies, his ex-wife, the timing. Oh God, the timing. Before we go any further, I need you to do something for me. Type the word present in the comments below. Let me know you're here, because this story is about to take you somewhere you were not expecting. And if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button now. You're going to want to hear for what comes next. Some men measure their wealth in dollars. Dominic Reyes was about to learn to measure his in the heartbeats he had never heard. This is his story. Dominic had pressed 4, cardiac intensive care. This is where his mother was, hooked up to machines that beeped in rhythms he was learning to hate. She had been in surgery for 6 hours the day before. The doctor said it went well, said she would recover if nothing went wrong. If. He had been gripping his phone so hard, his thumb slipped. Hit 3 instead of 4, maternity ward. And he had walked out without looking, muscle memory carrying him down a corridor he had no business being in. The smell was what stopped him first. That particular combination of antiseptic and something else underneath. Powder formula, the sweetness of new humans, hope packaged in pink and blue balloons tied to door frames. He should have turned around, but something made him keep walking. Fate, maybe? Or just the particular cruelty of the universe, deciding that today was the day Dominic Reyes would learn exactly how much he had lost. Room 312 was at the end of the corridor. The door was half open. Through the window he could see the bed, the woman in it, the 3 bassinets arranged around her like satellites. Vera. She looked different, thinner, older. There were shadows under her eyes that had not been there before, a sharpness to her jaw that spoke of survival rather than leaving. But when she looked down at those babies, when she lifted each one and pressed her lips to their foreheads, her face transformed into something Dominic thought he had destroyed forever. Pure love, uncomplicated, whole. He watched her for too long, long enough for her to sense something, long enough for her to look up, scan the hallway, and find him standing there like a ghost. She did not react, not the way he expected. No shock, no anger, just a long, steady look, like she had been waiting for this moment and dreading it in equal measure. Then she said something to the nurse beside her. The nurse glanced towards the hallway, to where Dominic, and nodded, walked to the door, closed it. The click of that latch was the loudest sound Dominic had ever heard. He stood there, minutes, maybe longer. His phone kept buzzing. People who wanted things from him. People who thought they mattered. None of them mattered. 3 cribs. The divorce had been final for 18 months. Before that, 6 months of lawyers and silence. Before that, the night he came home and said the words that ended everything. The last time he had touched his wife, really touched her, had been the night before that confession, when things were already broken, but neither of them knew it yet. 6 weeks. That is what the math said. 6 weeks pregnant when he destroyed her, growing 3 lives inside her body while he was busy burning down the life they had built together. Dominic made himself move, back to the elevator, up 1 floor, down the corridor to room 412, where his mother lay small and gray against white sheets. She was still unconscious. The machines breathed for her because her body had forgotten how. The monitors beeped their steady rhythm. Beep, beep, beep. The mathematics of her heart trying to remember its purpose. Dominic collapsed into the chair beside her bed, put his head in his hands. "Mom," he whispered. His voice cracked on the word. "I found her. I found Vera. And there are 3 babies. 3. Mine. They have to be mine. She never told me, and I don't know what to do." The machine answered him. Beep, beep, beep. What do I do? He stayed until visiting hours ended, drove home to his penthouse in the fog, stood in the shower until the water ran cold, lay on his bed fully dressed, staring at the ceiling, watching the sun rise through floor-to-ceiling windows that cost more than his mother's house. Somewhere across the city, Vera was learning to be a mother. Somewhere in that hospital, his 3 daughters were learning to breathe. And Dominic lay in his expensive apartment and tried to figure out how to deserve even 1 moment of their lives. To understand what Dominic did, you have to understand who he was before the money, before the penthouse and the stock options, and the people who looked at him like he was worth something. 3 years earlier, Dominic Reyes had been a nobody. Not nobody exactly. He had a startup that was hemorrhaging money, an algorithm that almost worked, a pitch deck that had been rejected by 14 investors in a row. He had a 2-bedroom apartment with a leak in the bathroom ceiling that the landlord kept promising to fix, and a wife named Vera who taught piano lessons to kids who did not practice. They had met at a coffee shop. She was reading sheet music. He was pretending to work while actually panicking about payroll. She caught him staring and smiled, and Dominic felt something crack open in his chest that he had not known was closed. Vera was not glamorous, never had been. She wore clothes from thrift stores and got excited about finding quarters in the couch. She talked about her students like they were her own kids, got frustrated when they did not practice, got even more excited when they finally knew the piece they had been struggling with. She believed in him. That was the thing. When everyone else looked at Dominic and saw a guy with a failing startup and an empty bank account, Vera looked at him and saw someone who was going to figure it out. "You're going to change things," she would say. "I know you are." She sold her grandmother's china set to buy him equipment. Ate rice and canned vegetables so he could have protein. Took extra piano students and worked night shifts at a diner so he could focus on his work. She sacrificed everything. and Dominic let her because he was so sure he was going to make it worth it. Then it happened. The algorithm worked. The prototype tested perfectly. A venture capitalist who had rejected him twice before suddenly wanted to talk again. And this time, the answer was yes. Within 18 months, Dominic went from checking his bank account before buying coffee to checking his stock price before buying buildings. He was on magazine covers, invited to galas. People who had ignored him for years suddenly wanted to be his friend. And Vera was still Vera. Still wearing Target clothes to events where everyone else was a designer. Still getting nervous when someone asked what she did. Still saying I teach music like it was something to apologize for. At first, Dominic found it grounding. Then he found it charming. Then he found it quaint. Then he found it embarrassing. He started noticing how she looked at parties, the way she would shrink when someone made a comment about her dress, the way she would laugh too loud at jokes she did not understand, the way other people's wives would look at her and then at Dominic with something like pity. He started seeing her through their eyes, started wondering if she was holding him back, started building a case in his head, piece by piece, until he had convinced himself that a woman who had given him everything was somehow not enough. The affair was almost an afterthought. Some woman at a conference. Dominic doesn't remember her name, doesn't remember much about her at all, except that she was blonde and she laughed at his jokes, and she looked at him like he was already the man he was pretending to be. She made him feel like someone who had never had a leak in his bathroom ceiling, like someone who had always belonged in rooms like this, with people like this, living a life like this. He slept with her one night, a hotel room that cost more than his first apartment, and then he went home. Vera was in the kitchen when he walked in. It was early morning. She was making eggs, scrambled, because that was what he liked, even though she preferred them fried. She turned when she heard him, smiled, the same smile she'd given him in that coffee shop years ago, when she caught him staring and decided to let him in. "Hey," she said, "you're home early. I was going to bring this up to you." Dominic stood in the hallway of his own kitchen and looked at his wife, at a woman who had believed in him when no one else did, at a woman who had sacrificed everything so he could become someone worth believing in. And he said, "I slept with someone else. I think we should get divorced." Vera's smile did not fade. Not immediately. It just froze there, like her face had not gotten the message yet, like she was waiting for the punchline. Then her hand moved, turned off the stove, moved the pan to a cold burner. Her back was to him now, and Dominic could see her shoulders shaking just slightly before she got them under control. She did not scream, did not cry, did not throw anything or demand to know why or beg him to reconsider. She just stood there for a long moment, very still, and then she turned around and looked at him with eyes that were completely dry. "Okay," she said. That was it. One word, okay. She was gone by the end of the week, signed everything the lawyers put in front of her, took nothing except her clothes and her grandmother's violin and a box of photographs from their wedding. Dominic told himself it was relief he felt. Told himself he was finally free, finally able to become the man he was supposed to be, without anyone around him to remind him of who he used to be. Took him about 3 months to realize he had got at his own chest and called it surgery. Took him 18 more to find out what that surgery had actually cost. Dominic's mother woke up on the 3rd day. He was there when her eyes opened, had barely left her room except to sleep and shower. The doctor said she was doing well. The surgery had been successful. She just needed rest. She looked at him for a moment, her eyes still cloudy from medication, but sharp underneath. She had always been sharp, his mother, even now pushing 70 with a heart that kept trying to quit. She could see him through him faster than anyone. "You look terrible," she said. Her voice was hoarse from the breathing tube they had removed that morning. "I saw Vera." His mother closed her eyes, opened them again. "I know." The words hit him like a physical blow. "What do you mean you know?" "She came to see me before the surgery." She stopped to cough, wincing at the pain it caused. "She wanted to make sure someone would tell you if I did not make it." "Tell me what?" But Dominic already knew, already felt it sitting in his stomach like a stone he had swallowed. "The babies," the mother said quietly. "She was pregnant when you ended things. She was 6 weeks along, and she did not know yet. By the time she found out, the divorce was already final." "She did not tell me." "No." "Why did you not tell me?" His mother looked at him with something that was not quite pity, something closer to exhaustion. The particular tiredness of a mother who had watched her child make mistakes she could not protect him from. "Because she begged me not to," she said simply. "She stood in my doorway, 6 months pregnant, barely able to keep food down, and she begged me not to tell you. Said if you found out, you would stay out of obligation, not love, just guilt and obligation. And she would not bring her children into a home where their father resented them for existing." Dominic's throat closed. "She was protecting me." "She was protecting them," his mother corrected. "Those 3 babies who deserved better than a father, who only showed up because he felt like he had to." "I need to see her. You need to think." His mother's voice was firm despite her weakness. "What are you going to do? Storm in and demand your rights? Throw money at her until she lets you play father for an afternoon?" She shifted in her bed, wincing. She just gave birth to 3 children, alone, after carrying them alone for 9 months, after everything you put her through. Your guilt is not her emergency, Dominic. Your regret does not entitle you to her time. "So I do nothing?" His mother looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, "Figure out what kind of man you want those 3 girls to know. Really figure it out. Not the man you were. Not the man you are right now, drowning in guilt and panic. The man you could become. And maybe, if you can actually become that person, you'll be ready to face Vera. You will have earned the right to even hold the piece of what you broke." Dominic drove home that night in a fog. He did not know Vera's address, did not know her phone number, did not know anything about her life except that she was living in a shelter, working nights, raising 3 babies alone because he had made sure she had no other choice. He could hire someone to find her, a private investigator. It would take 1 phone call, maybe 2. He picked up his phone, dialed the number, then hung up before anyone answered. He could not violate her that way, could not track her down like she was a problem to be solved, rather, of a person he had destroyed. So he did something else instead. He waited. The hospital bill arrived at Dominic's penthouse 3 days later. It was addressed to Vera. Somehow it had ended up in his mailbox. Probably because she had listed his old address as a secondary contact back when they were still married and never updated it. He stood in his kitchen and looked at the number at the bottom of the page. over $100,000 for a complicated delivery, for 3 premature babies who needed extra care, for a mother who almost died on the operating table. The return address was a woman's shelter on Prospect Avenue. Dominic drove there that afternoon, not to go in, just to see. The building was gray and institutional. Bars on the window, a security guard at the front door. The kind of place that existed because too many women had nowhere else to go. He parked across the street and watched. For 3 days he came back, sat in his car, watched the door, told himself he was not stalking her, just waiting for the right moment. On the 4th day, he saw her. Vera walked out pushing a triple stroller that looked like it had been donated sometime in the previous decade. One of the wheels stuck, catching on every crack in the sidewalk. She was thinner than she had been in the hospital, more tired, moving like someone who had not slept in weeks and had forgotten what it felt like to not be exhausted. She thanked the security guard by name, made a joke Dominic could not hear. The guard laughed and held the door for her as she maneuvered the massive stroller through. She looked like she had been through a war. She looked like she was still fighting it. Dominic's hand was on the door handle of his car. He watched her struggle down the steps, watched her fight with the broken wheel, watched her pause to check on each baby, adjusting blankets, murmuring words he could not hear. He did not get out. Watched her walk down the block, the stroller wobbling with every step. He drove in opposite direction. That night, he paid her hospital bill anonymously, wired the money directly to the billing department, with instructions to clear her account. 2 days later, a cashier's check arrived at his house. The full amount. No note. Just his money returned. Farrer did not want his good money, did not want anything from him. He tried anyway. Over the next few weeks, he sent anonymous apartment listings to the shelter's general inbox. Baby supplies delivered to the front desk without a return address. Scholarship applications for music programs already filled out, just waiting for her signature. Everything got rejected or returned. Every single attempt. Finally, he hired a therapist. Dr. Rena Chavez came highly recommended. Cost $800 an hour. He sat in her office and told her everything. The affair, the divorce, the babies he had never met, the woman who would not take his money. Dr. Chavez listened. Then she said, "What do you want from me? I want to know how to fix this." You cannot fix destroying someone's trust. The doctor's voice was flat, matter of fact. Forgiveness is not something you earn. It is a gift she's not obligated to give. You could do everything right for the rest of your life, and she might still never let you in. That is her right. So what do I do? Figure out what kind of man you actually are. Not who you want to be. Who you are right now when no one is watching. Then decide if that man is someone those 3 girls deserve to know. And if it's not, then become someone else. Or stay away forever. Those are your options. Dominic came back every week, sat in that office, and talked about his childhood, his fears, his shame. Talked about how he had been so terrified of being seen as weak that he destroyed the only person who had ever seen him at his weakest. He started to understand something. Not to forgive himself. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But to understand. He had been so ashamed of being loved. That was the truth underneath everything. Farrer had seen him when he was nothing, had loved him when he had nothing to offer, And when he finally became something, finally became someone worth admiring, he could not stand that she had witnessed his failure, could not stand looking at her and seeing reflected back all the years he had spent being small. So he burned it down, all of it, the marriage, the love, the future they had planned, burned it all so he would never have to see that reflection again. But now, there were 3 babies growing up without a father. 3 little girls who would learn someday that their dad had chosen his pride over their existence. What kind of man does that? Dominic did not know, but he was starting to find out. His mother died on a Tuesday. Second heart attack. Massive. The doctor said she did not suffer, said it happened fast. Said all the things doctors say when they cannot say anything that actually helps. Dominic was there when she went, holding her hands, watching the monitor's flatline, watching her face go slack and peaceful in a way it had never been when she was alive. She had been planning for this, left instructions for everything. The funeral home, the flowers, the music, the guest list. Vera's name was on the guest list. Dominic stared at that name for a long time. His mother had known she was dying, had planned everything down to the last detail, and she had made sure that Vera would be there. One last attempt to bring them together. He sent the invitation anyway, handwritten, mailed to the shelter on Prospect Avenue. The response came 3 days before the funeral. A single line on plain paper. I'll be there for your mother, not for you. The funeral was on Saturday, small, just people who had actually known his mother, not the society crowd who would have showed up if Dominic had led them. He arrived early, arranged the flowers, checked the programs, did all the small tasks that kept him from having to think about the fact that his mother was dead, and he was alone. And somewhere in this room, any minute now, Vera was going to walk through that door. She arrived at exactly 10. No babies, no one with her, just Vera, wearing a black dress that looked borrowed and shoes that had seen too many miles. She walked directly to the casket, stood there for a long time. Then she opened her purse, pulled something out. A violin bow, old, worn, the horsehair frayed from years of use. She placed it gently on top of the casket. Your mother bought me my first professional bow, she said without turning around. Dominic realized she knew he was watching. I was 16, living with my grandmother above a music store. I had been playing on a student bowl for years, saving up for a real one. Your mother walked in one day, heard me playing, and bought the bowl right off the wall. $800. Just handed it to me and said, "You cannot make music like that with inadequate tools." She turned to face him. Her eyes were dry, but devastated. That bow carried me through every important performance of my life. My conservatory audition, my first symphony job, our wedding. There, his voice came out broken. Please, do not. Do not what? Her voice was quiet, cold. Do not remind you of what you threw away. Do not make you feel guilty at your mother's funeral. She walked toward the door. I need to go. The babies are with a friend. I cannot stay for the service. Please, Dominic stepped toward her. Just wait, please. She stopped. Did not turn around. For what? So you can apologize? So you can explain why you're suddenly interested in being a father? I do not have time for your guilt, Dominic. I have 3 infants who need me every 2 hours. I have a job that barely covers formula. I have exactly zero energy for whatever it is. I paid your hospital bill. Those words came out desperate and wrong. He knew it as soon as he said them. Vera laughed. Actually laughed. It sounded like glass breaking. I know, she said. I sent it back. Did you really think you could just throw money at this and make yourself feel better? Buy forgiveness like it was another asset for your portfolio? I was trying to help. You were trying to buy absolution, and I am not selling. She started walking again. Dominic followed her into the parking lot. They are mine, are they not? The babies, they are my daughters. Vera stopped. The morning sun was too bright, too cheerful for this conversation. Biologically? Yes. In any way that matters? No. I have rights. Rights? Her voice went sharp. You want to talk about rights? You have a right to DNA. That is it. You were not there when I found out I was pregnant. You were not there when I worked doubles until I collapsed because I had no other choice. You were not there when I spent 8 weeks on bed rest alone, praying they would survive. You were not there when they cut them out of me and I almost bled to death on that table. She turned to face him fully. You were not there on their first breath, their first cry, anything. So do not stand there and talk to me about rights. I did not know. You did not know because I did not tell you. I did not tell you because you made it very clear that I was an embarrassment, that our marriage is something you needed to escape from. So I made a choice. I chose to protect my daughters from growing up watching their father resent them for existing. I would not have. Yes, you would have. Maybe not consciously. Maybe not on purpose. But every time you looked at them, you would have seen the trap. The obligation that forced you to stay with the woman you were too ashamed to keep. They would have felt that, Dominic. Children always feel that. She paused, took a breath. So I took that choice away from you. I protected them the only way I knew how. Other cars were pulling into the lot now. Other mourners arriving. I need to go, Farah said. Can I see them? The question came out broken. Please, just once. I just want to see them. I just want to know they're okay. They're fine. Her voice was flat. They have a mother who would die for them. That is more than enough. She walked to her car, an old sedan, maybe 15 years past its prime, with a dent in the driver's side of the door and a crack across the windshield. She opened the door, then stopped. Your mother made me promise something before she went into surgery. She made me promise that if anything happened to her, I would give you a chance. One chance. Not because you deserve it, but because she believed you could become someone who did. Farah got in the car. I do not know if I can keep that promise, but I'm gonna try. For her, not for you. What do I need to do? Figure out who you actually are. Not the man who betrayed me. Not the man drowning in guilt. The real you underneath all the performance. Then maybe we'll talk. Maybe. She started the engine. The car coughed, sputtered, caught. Come to my apartment Saturday morning. 10 sharp. Not 9:59. Not 10:01. 10. She handed him a piece of paper through the window. An address in her careful handwriting. And Dominic, do not bring anything. No gifts, no money, no apologies. Just you. She drove away. The car backfired as it left the parking lot. Dominic stood there holding that piece of paper like it was a life raft, like it was the only thing keeping him from drowning. One chance. One. If the story is getting to you, do me a favor, hit that like button, leave a comment telling me what you would like to do in his position, and subscribe if you have not already, because we're just getting started. Dominic has one chance, one, and what happens next is going to take everything he has. Dominic did not sleep Friday night. He lay in his bed in his expensive apartment and stared at the ceiling and thought about all the ways he could fail tomorrow, all the ways he could prove Vera right about him. He got up at 4 in the morning, tried to eat breakfast, could not. At 8, he started getting dressed, realized everything he owned screamed money. The watches, the shoes, the shirts that cost more than people's rents. He finally settled on jeans and a plain white t-shirt. No watch, no jewelry, nothing that would remind Vera of the distance between his life and hers. He drove to her address, a building that looked like it should have been condemned. Concrete stairs with wobbling rails, graffiti on the walls that someone had tried and failed to paint over. He climbed to the second floor, found her door, checked his phone. 9:58. He waited, watched the minutes change. 9:59. 10. He knocked. The door opened immediately. Vera stood there in sweatpants and a stained t-shirt, hair pulled back and dark circles under her eyes. "Come in," she said quietly. "They're all sleeping." The apartment was tiny, one room serving as bedroom, living room, and kitchen, a bathroom visible through a cracked door. 3 cribs crammed against one wall, laundry piled in a corner, dishes in the sink. The smell of formula and exhaustion. This was where his daughters lived. "Sit," Vera said, pointing to a chair at a table they seated to. She sat across from him. Between them, 3 cribs, 3 sleeping babies. Dominic strode close. He could see them now. Really see them. 3 tiny humans, each wrapped in blankets that did not match. One had his nose, another his mouth. The third had his hands. Those long fingers that always looked strange on him, but looked perfect on her. "Their names are Iris, Ren, and Marigold," Vera said quietly. Iris was the oldest by 2 minutes. Ren was the smallest. They worried about her at first because she is a fighter. Marigold was last. She got stuck during delivery. They had to. She stopped, swallowed. They got her out. She's fine now. Dominic could not speak, could not do anything but stare at those 3 cribs and try to comprehend that these were his children, his daughters, pieces of him and Vera that existed in the world. "You can look at them," Vera said. "Do not touch, just look." He stood carefully, walked to the first crib. Iris began on the others. Dark hair like Vera, his nose. She made small sounds in her sleep, her tiny fists clenching and unclenching. Second crib, Ren, smaller, more delicate. A small tube ran through her nose oxygen. She needed help breathing still, but even in sleep she looked like she was ready to fight. Third crib, Marigold. She slept with her arms above her head, hand balled into fists. She had Vera's mouth, his eyebrows, a small scar on her shoulder from whatever had happened during the surgery. "They're beautiful," he whispered. "They're mine," Vera said from behind him. "Not yours. Mine. I earned them. Every sleepless night, every doctor's appointment, every moment of terror and exhaustion. I earned them. You're here because I am allowing it, because your mother asked me to." Dominic turned to face her. "I understand. Do you? I've been doing this alone for over a year. I have learned how to feed 3 babies at once, how to change 3 diapers in under 10 minutes, how to survive on 2 hours of sleep. I have done all of that while you were living in your penthouse, feeling sorry for yourself." "I know. I'm sorry. I did not want your apologies. Farah's voice was hard. I do not trust you. I think you're going to try for a few weeks, maybe a month, and then decide it is still hard. Decide we're too inconvenient. Disappear back into your fancy life and leave us behind. Again. She stood, walked to the cribs. I'm letting you do this anyway, because your mother asked me to. Because part of me still hopes I'm wrong about you. So here are the rules. 1 hour per week. Saturday mornings, 10 to 11. You come here, you do not bring anything. No gifts, no money, no apologies. You interact with the babies under my supervision. You leave when I tell you to. You miss 1 week, you're done. Forever. Understood, Dominic said. Your hour starts now. He stood there, looked at her, looked at the babies. Very waited, expressionless. After a moment, she said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Figure it out. One of the babies started crying, Iris. She went from sleeping to screaming in 2 seconds flat. Dominic looked at Vera helplessly. She's hungry, Vera said. Bottles are in the kitchen. Figure it out. Dominic found bottles in the refrigerator. They were cold. Do I warm it? Do you think babies drink cold milk? They found a pot, filled it with water, set it on a hot plate, put the bottle in, waited. Iris screamed louder. The water heated slowly. Dominic tested the bottle against his wrist the way he had seen people do in the movies. Too cold. He waited. Tested again. Still cold. Iris was going hoarse from crying. Finally warm, he grabbed it, rushed to the crib, picked Iris up in a way he had practiced in his apartment with pillows, and tried to give her the bottle. She turned away, screamed louder. He tried again. She knocked the bottle out of his hand and fell to the floor. Milk everywhere. Clean that up, Vera said. There was another bottle in the fridge. Dominic put Iris back in her crib. She screamed louder. He grabbed paper towels, cleaned up the milk, went back to the kitchen, started hitting another bottle. His hands were shaking. Iris' cries had woken Ren. Now, 2 babies were screaming. The second bottle took forever. Dominic kept testing it, terrified of burning Iris' mouth. While both babies screamed and the apartment felt like it was closing in on him. Finally ready, he picked up Iris, positioned her differently this time, offered the bottle. She took it. Relief flooded through him. She was eating. He was doing it. He was actually. She's eating too fast, Vera said from across the room. You have to burp her halfway through or she'll spit up everything. Dominic had no idea how to burp a baby. He tried patting her back the way he had seen in a YouTube video. Iris choked, spit up all over his shirt, started screaming again. The bottle fell. More milk on the floor. Ren was crying louder now, and Marigold was starting to stare. 3 babies crying. Dominic stood in the middle of that tiny apartment, covered in spit up, holding a screaming infant, and had absolutely no idea what to do. Your hour is almost up, Vera said. She stood, walked over, took Iris from his arms. Within seconds, the baby calmed. Vera fed her efficiently, burped her with 3 quick pats, settled her back in the crib. Then she did the same with Ren and Marigold, moving between them like she had done this 1,000 times. Because she had. She had done this 1,000 times, alone. 3 babies, all fed and content, in less than 15 minutes. Dominic stood there, covered in formula, exhausted, defeated. Your hour is up, Vera said. Leave. He walked to the door. Turn back. Vera. Save it. See you next Saturday. 10 sharp. He left. Walked down the stairs to his car, sat in the driver's seat and put his head on the steering wheel. He had failed. Completely. Totally. 1 baby, 1 hour, and he could not even manage that. But Vera had said, see you next Saturday. Another chance. Drove home and immediately started researching. bought a practice doll, watched videos until his eye burned, practiced bottle feeding and burping and diaper changes until his hands stopped shaking. One chance, he was not going to waste it. If you're still there, type the word grind in the comments, because what comes next is not a montage. It's not a quick fix. It is the hardest thing Dominic Reyes has ever done. Week 2. Dominic arrived at 10, had barely slept. He spent every free moment since last Saturday practicing on that stupid doll, watching videos, reading articles, doing everything he could to be less terrible. Vera opened the door, same exhausted face, same guarded eyes, coming. The apartment looked the same, 3 creeps, laundry in the corner, the smell of formula and survival. The hour starts now. All 3 babies were awake this time. Iris was fussing, Ren was quiet, watching him with eyes that seemed too knowing for someone so small. Marigold was trying to grab her own feet. Dominic stood there, waiting for Vera to tell him what to do. She did not. Can I hold one? If you think you can manage it. He walked to Marigold's crib, picked her up carefully, supporting her head the way the videos had shown him. She was so light, barely anything, but she was warm and real, looking at him with dark eyes that had his shape. Talk to her, Vera said from across the room. Babies need to hear voices. Hi, Marigold. His voice came out strange, thick. I am your... He stopped. I'm Dominic. And I'm sorry I have not been here, but I'm here now, and I'm gonna try to be better. Marigold blinked at him, then vomited all over his shirt. Dominic froze. Marigold started crying. He looked at Vera helplessly. Did I do something wrong? She has reflux. Happens sometimes. Clean yourself up. Bathroom is through there. He cleaned up. Changed Marigold's onesie, fumbled through it, got the snaps from twice, but managed. When he came back out, his hour was half over, and he was already exhausted. Try feeding Ren, Vera said. He went through the process, heated the bottle, tested it, picked up Ren, positioned her. She ate slowly, patiently, like she was giving him a chance to figure it out. He remembered to burp her this time. She spit up anyway, but less than before. Better, Vera said. Not praise exactly, but no criticism either. When his hour ended, Dominic left feeling marginally less defeated than the week before. Week 3, week 4, week 5. Each Saturday, he got slightly better. Figured out that Iris needed to be held tighter or she got fussy. That Ren needed patience, needed him to slow down and let her set the pace. Then Marigold needed constant movement, needed to be walked around the tiny apartment or she would cry until her face turned red. Vera never praised him, never offered help unless the babies were in actual distress. Just watched, evaluated, set your hours up when the clock hit 11. Week 6. Dominic arrived to find Vera looking worse than usual. Thinner, paler, the shadows under her eyes on their own. Are you okay? Your hour starts now. He went through his routine, fed Iris first because she was the loudest and would wake others if she had to wait. Changed Ren's diaper, walked Marigold around until she fell asleep against his shoulder. When his hour ended, he hesitated at the door. Vera, are you eaten enough? Not your concern. Leave. He left, but he was worried. She looked like she was barely holding on, like one more thing would break her. Week 8. Dominic arrived to find all 3 babies sleeping. Vera sat at a table with her head in her hands. Come in, she said quietly. The apartment was messier than usual. Dishes piled up higher, laundry overflowing. The chaos of someone who was drowning and did not have time to bail water. He sat down across from her. Why are you still coming? Her voice was muffled. She did not lift her head. What do you mean? What do you get out of this? 1 hour a week with 3 babies who do not know you, a woman who barely tolerates your presence. What is the point? I'm trying to be their father. You cannot be their father in 1 hour a week. That is not real. It is what you're letting me have, so it is what I'm taking. Farah lifted her head. Her eyes were red, swollen. She had been crying before he arrived. Your mother would be so disappointed in me, she said. She asked me to give you a chance, and I have been making it as hard as possible. Punishing you for things you cannot change. She would understand, Dominic said. Farah smiled slightly, the first real smile he had seen from her. Small and tired, but real. She was proud of you, Vera said, before everything fell apart. She used to tell me stories about when you were little, how determined you were, how you never gave up on anything. I forgot how to be that person, Dominic said. I got successful, and I forgot that the best parts of me came from struggling, from having something to fight for. Is that what I was to you? A reminder of struggle? He met her eyes, did not look away. Yes. And I will hate myself for that until the day I die. The honesty sat between them, heavy, ugly, true. Farah looked away first. Your hour is up. Her voice was softer. Something had shifted. Thank you, Dominic said as he stood. For these hours, I know I do not deserve them. You do not, Farah agreed. But your mother asked me to. He left. For the first time since this started, it felt like maybe there was a path forward. Not to forgiveness, not to redemption, just to being present, being there. There was not much, but it was more than he had before. Week 10. Farah called him on a Tuesday night. He almost did not answer. Unknown number, probably spam, but something made him pick up. I need help. Her voice was thin, strained. In the background, he could hear crying, all 3 babies at once. What is wrong? Rain has a fever. I called the doctor. They said to monitor it, but I can't. She stopped, her voice broke. I cannot do this alone anymore. I'm so tired. I'm so tired, and they will not stop crying, and I do not know what to do. I'm coming. Do not. She started to protest. There. I'm coming. Drove across the city at 2 a.m, broke at least 4 traffic laws, did not care. The apartment was chaos when he arrived. All 3 babies screaming, Vera on the floor between cribs, crying herself, trying to comfort everyone at once. Dominic did not ask permission. Chels walked in, picked up Iris, started walking with her the way he had learned she liked. She quieted after a few minutes. Put her down, picked up Marigold, same thing. Finally got to Ren, who was hot to the touch but not dangerously so. He held her against his chest, talked to her quietly, told her she was going to be okay, that her mama was here, and he was here too, and she was safe. Vera sat on the floor watching him, tears still streaming down her face. How did you know to do that? I've been practicing, Dominic said. Every day. I bought books, watched videos. I even got a doll and practiced in it, because I wanted to be ready, in case you ever needed me. Vera stared at him. You practiced with a doll? I told you, I'm trying. She laughed. Not the bitter, broken laugh from before. Something closer to real. Something that surprised her as much as it surprised him. You're ridiculous, she said. I know. She wiped her eyes, stood up slowly. They should sleep now, all of them. You should go. Are you okay? No. She was honest about it. But I will be. I just needed. She stopped. I do not know what I needed. You needed someone to show up. Vera looked at him for a long moment. Yeah, she said quietly. I guess I did. Dominic drove home as the sun was coming up. He was exhausted, had 3 hours of work, did not care. She called him when she needed help. She had called him. It was not trust, not yet, but it was something. Week 12. Vera asked him to come 3 times a week. Not as a favor, she made clear, as labor. She was drowning. The babies needed more than one person could give. And since he was the only other person who had any claim to them, he was being conscripted. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 to 8 in the morning, before work. I would help with morning routines, bottles, diapers, getting them down for their first nap, then he would leave. No extended visits, no bonding time, just practical help. Deal, Dominic said. And if you miss once, if you're late even once, I know, done forever. He did not miss, did not come late. For 3 months, he woke up at 4:30 in the morning, drove across the city in the dark, and showed up at Vera's door at exactly 6. He learned hints. That Iris needed to eat first, or she would scream when everyone else was awake. Darren liked being sung to, even though Dominic could not carry a tune to save his life. That Marigold would only sleep if someone was touching her, even just a hand on her belly through the crib bars. He learned about Vera too, how she got quiet when she was overwhelmed, how she cleaned obsessively when she was anxious, how she would sometimes just stop in the middle of one lorry and stare at nothing, like she was trying to remember what life had been before it became this. He did not push, did not ask for more than she offered, just showed up, helped, left when she told him to. One morning, he arrived to find her already awake, making actual breakfast instead of just grabbing whatever was fastest. The apartment was tidier than usual. She had put on real clothes instead of sweatpants she usually lived in. Special occasion? I have a job interview, Vera said, at the symphony. They're hiring session violinist. It is only part-time, but it's actual music work. First time I have played professionally since... She stopped. Since before. That is amazing. Temperance is coming to watch the girls, Vera said. But if you wanted to stay, I know it's past your usual time, but... Of course, Dominic said, I will call in to work. Stay as long as you need. Vera looked at him strangely. You would do that? Call in sick for me? In a heartbeat, this is important. Something flickered across her face. Something she did not let him see for long. Thank you. She left. Dominic spent the morning with 3 increasingly mobile babies who had discovered that crawling was possible and walls were optional. He made them lunch, got them down for naps, cleaned their apartment because it needed it, and he was there. And why not? Vera came back at 1, glowing. I got it, she said. The position. I start next week. Dominic grinned. That is incredible. She looked around the apartment at the clean dishes, the folded laundry, the 3 sleeping babies. You did all this? You were busy. She sat down heavily on the couch, looked at him. I do not understand you, she said. What do you mean? I spent 2 years hating you, telling myself you were a monster, building you up in my head as the villain who destroyed everything good. And now you're here, folding my laundry, cleaning my kitchen, calling in sick to your job, so I can audition for a symphony position. I'm just trying to help. Why though? What do you actually want from this? Dominic was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I want my daughters to know me. I want them to grow up and understand that their father tried. That he was not perfect. That he made terrible mistakes, but he showed up anyway. Every day, no matter what. And me? What do you want from me? He met her eyes. Nothing you do not want to give. I'm not here to win you back, Vera. I'm not trying to manipulate you into forgiving me. I'm just trying to be the kind of father those girls deserve. Whatever that looks like, however long it takes. Vera was quiet for a long time. Okay, she said finally. Okay. Next week, she gave him a key. Did not make a big deal about it. Just pressed it into his hand one morning as he was leaving. In case I'm asleep when you get here, she said, you do not have to knock and wake everyone up. It was a small thing. Just a piece of metal. It meant everything. Month 6. The social worker came. Vera had been on the radar since the hospital. Single mother, trade preemies, history of house instability, the kind of case that got flagged for follow-up. Dominic was there when the woman arrived. Had not known she was coming. Had just shown up for his regular morning time and found Vera in the apartment in a panic. She's gonna take them, Vera said. She's gonna see this place and see me and decide I'm not fit, and she's gonna take my babies. She's not gonna take them. You do not know that. You do not know anything about how this works. The social worker was a middle-aged woman named Patricia. Kind eyes, tired smile. She looked around the apartment, checked on her babies, asked Vera about her support system. There was a long moment where Dominic thought about leaving, about making himself invisible, about letting Vera handle this alone because it was her life, her children, her fight. Then Patricia asked, and who is this? Vera hesitated. I am their father, Dominic said. Patricia looked at him, and Vera back at him. Are you involved in their care? Vera glanced. Dominic glanced at Vera. She gave a small nod. I'm here every morning, he said, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8. I help with feedings, diaper changes, getting them down for naps. Vera has my contact information for emergencies. I came over at 2 in the morning last month when Ren had a fever. I am here. Patricia wrote something down. Are you consistent? Reliable? Vera answered before Dominic could. He has not missed a single morning in 4 months. He's not been late once. He shows up every day, no matter what. Patricia nodded, wrote some more. When she left, she told Vera she'll be close to the case. Adequate support system, children well cared for. No further follow-up needed. Vera closed the door behind her and stood there for a moment. Then she turned around and looked at Dominic. You told her you were their father. I am their father. You've never said that before. Not out loud. I have never been asked. Vera crossed the room, stood in front of him, close enough that I could see the tears she was trying not to let fall. Thank you for being here, for not leaving, for actually being what you said you would be. It was the first time she thanked him without it sounding like a concession. Month 9. The baby started walking, Iris first because she did everything first. She let go of the coffee table one afternoon, looked directly at Dominic and took 3 wobbling steps into his arms. He caught her, laughed with shocking joy, looked up at Vera. She was frozen, her face unreadable. Her first steps, Vera said quietly. She walked to you. Dominic understood immediately. This should have been Vera's moment. Iris's first step should have been to her mother, the woman who carried her, birthed her, raised her alone for most of her life. Instead, they had been to him. I'm sorry, he said. To not be. Vera's voice was strange. I'm glad she feels safe with you. I'm glad she trusts you enough to walk to you. She paused. And I hate that I am glad. I hate that my daughters are learning to love you when you're the man who... She stopped, shook her head. It doesn't matter. I'm glad. That is what matters. Ren walked later that week to Marigold. Both times, Vera was there. Both times to walk to her. But Dominic saw something change in Vera after Iris's first steps. Some wall coming down. Some acceptance settling in. He was their father. They knew it. They felt it. And slowly, painfully, Vera was learning to be okay with that. 1:12. The girls turned 1. Vera threw a small party just her, Dominic, and her friend Temperance, who still looked at Dominic like she was waiting for him to disappoint everyone. 3 small cakes because the girls could not agree on a flavor. 3 set of candles, 3 tiny faces covered in frosting. Dominic helped clean up, stayed later than usual. When the girls were finally asleep, Vera asked him to stay longer. They sat on the couch. The apartment was quiet for once. "I need to tell you something," Vera said. Dominic's stomach dropped. "I've been thinking a lot about us," she continued. "About what we are, what we could be." "Vera, let me finish," she took a breath. "When you first came back, I hated you. Pure, burning hatred. I wanted you to fail. Wanted you to prove me right about you. But you did not fail. You kept showing up over and over, even when I was cruel. Even when I made it hard as possible, you just kept coming back." She looked at him. "I do not know what to do with that. I spent 2 years telling myself you were a monster, and now I have to accept that monsters can't change. That the man who destroyed me is also the man who helped save my daughters." "I'm not trying to earn forgiveness," Dominic said quietly. "I know. That's what makes it so hard. If you were trying, if you were pushing, I could hate you for that. But you're not. You're just here, being patient, being present, being everything you were not before." She wiped her eyes. "I'm not ready to forgive you. I don't know if I will ever be ready. But I'm tired of hating you. I'm tired of holding on to what happened like it's an amour. I'm tired of pretending that watching you with those girls does not make me remember why I loved you in the first place." "What are you saying?" "I do not know," she laughed, frustrated. "I do not know what I'm saying. I just know that something has to change. This in-between thing we're doing, I cannot last forever. Either we figure out what we are, or we..." She stopped, shook her head. "It is late. You should go." Dominic stood, walked to the door, turned back. "I love them," he said. "Those 3 girls. I love them more than I've ever loved anything in my life. And I'm gonna keep showing up for them no matter what happens between us. No matter what you decide, I am here permanently." Vera looked at him. "I know," she said. "That is the problem." If you're still with me, type year 1 in the comments, because we've been through 12 months of Dominic showing up, 12 months of small victories and setbacks, 12 months of 3 little girls learning to trust their father. But we're not done yet, not even close, because what comes next is going to test everything Dominic has built, everything he thinks he has earned. Stay with me. This is where it gets real. 2 years in, the girls were walking now, talking, saying words like mama and dada and mine and no. They had personalities that amazed Dominic every single day. Iris was the leader, loud, opinionated, always the first to try something new, and the first to get in trouble for it. Ren was the quiet one. She watched everything, processed everything. When she finally spoke, it was usually something that made both her parents stop and stare. Marigold was the climber, the explorer, the one who they had to watch constantly because she would scale anything that stayed still long enough. Dominic was there for all of it. He had been there so consistently for so long that his presence had become routine, expected. The girls watched for him in the mornings, faces lighting up when he walked through the door. "Dada!" Iris would hear her running to him with her arms out. "Dada, here!" He was Dada now, had been for months. The first time Iris said it, Dominic had to leave the room so Vera would not see him cry. Things had shifted between him and Vera. Not dramatically, not obviously, but the edges had softened. She laughed at his jokes sometimes, let him stay for dinner occasionally, stopped watching him like she was waiting for him to fail. One night, after the girls were asleep, she asked him to stay. "We need to talk," she said. "Not about schedules or the girls, about us." Dominic sat across from her, his heart pounding. Vera was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I need to ask you something. And I need you to be completely honest, even if the truth is ugly. Okay. Why did you really do it? Not the version you told the therapist. Not a cleaned up explanation. The real reason. Why did you betray me? Dominic had known this question was coming. Had prepared answers that sounded better than the truth. He gave her the truth anyway. I was ashamed of being loved by you, he said. Vera blinked. What? You knew me when I was nothing. You saw me at my worst, failing, broke, desperate. And you loved me anyway. And I could not stand it. Took a breath. And I became successful when people started looking at me like I was worth something. I could not handle that you had seen the version of me that was not. Every time I looked at you, I saw the guy with the leaky ceiling and the empty bank account and the startup that was failing. I hated that guy, and you were the only evidence that he had ever existed. He met her eyes. So I destroyed you, praying on our marriage so I would not have to see the reflection anymore. It was cowardly, it was cruel, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Vera was quiet for a long time. That is really messed up, she said finally. I know. I did not love you because you were failing, she said it slowly, like she was figuring something out. I loved you because you were you. The failures were just things that were happening that were not who you were. I know that now. To you, because you spent 2 years proving that you have changed. 2 years of showing up and being present and doing everything right. But if the thing that made you destroy us was shame about being seen as weak, then what happens the next time you feel weak? The next time you feel like something? Are you gonna run again? No, Dominic said. How do I know that? You do not. He was honest about it. I cannot prove a future that has not happened yet. All I can do is keep showing up, keep being there, keep trying to be the person I should have been all along. Vera looked at him. I think I'm falling in love with you again, she said, and it terrifies me. The words hit Dominic like a physical blow. Vera. No, let me finish. I have spent 2 years watching you be a father, a real father, patient and present and devoted in a way you were never with me. And I keep thinking, why could you not be that person when we were married? Why did I not get that version of you? I was not that person then, Dominic said quietly. I had not learned how to be. And now you have? I'm learning every day. Those girls are teaching me. Being their father is teaching me. I'm not the man I was. I do not want to be the man I was. Vera wiped her eyes. I'm scared, she said. I'm scared if I let you back in. If I let myself love you again, you'll hurt me. And this time, it will not just be me. It'll be them too. They love you. If you leave, if you disappear, it will destroy them. I'm not going anywhere. You cannot promise that. I can. And I am, Vera. I'm promising you right now. I'm not going anywhere. Not unless you tell me to leave in a minute. I will spend the rest of my life proving that I'm not a man who hurt you. That is my promise. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she leaned forward and kissed him. It was brief, tentative, like she was testing something. When she pulled back, she was crying. I do not know what this is, she said. I do not know if I can do this, but I want to try. If you want to try. I want to try, Dominic said, more than anything. Okay. She took a breath. Okay. We go slow. We do not tell the girls anything yet. We do not make any big decisions. We just try. And if it does not work, if I cannot do this, you do not get angry. You do not get to use it against me. You just accept it and keep being their father. I accept those terms. Vera laughed. A real laugh. still with tears but real. You sound like a liar. I'm trying to be clear. I do not want any misunderstandings. She looked at him, took his hand. I'm gonna hurt you sometimes, she said. Not on purpose, because I'm gonna have bad days. Days where I cannot look at you without seeing what you do. Days where I need space. I need you to be patient with that. I will be. And I need you to keep showing up, even when I push you away, even when I'm being unfair. I need to know that you're not gonna disappear. I'm not going to disappear. Dominic squeezed her hand. I'm here, permanently, no matter what. She leaned against him, let out a breath she seemed to have been holding for 2 years. Okay, she whispered. Okay, let us try. Try. They did not rush. There were setbacks, nights where Vera could not look at him without seeing the hotel room, the conference, the woman whose name he did not remember, days when the old hurt surfaced and she needed space. Dominic gave her space, did not push, did not demand reassurance, just kept showing up, kept being present, kept proving through action that he was not going anywhere. The girls noticed the change, not the specifics, but the energy. Mama and Dad are smiling at each other. Mama letting Dad stay for dinner more often. Mama and Dad are sitting on the couch together after bedtime. Dad is staying for breakfast. Is Dad staying for breakfast? Iris asked one morning. Dominic looked at Vera. If he wants to, Vera said. He stayed. The symphony offered Vera a full-time position, principal violinist. It was everything she'd ever wanted. Everything she had given up when she chose to have the babies alone. But it meant longer hours, more rehearsals, more time away from the girls. I cannot do it, she said one night. I cannot leave them that much. They need me. They need you to be happy, Dominic said. And you need music. You've always needed music. Got the schedule. I'll adjust mine. I'll come earlier, stay later. We'll make it work. Vera started. You would do that? Of course. Why? Why would you rearrange your entire life for my career? Because your dreams matter. They always did. I was just too selfish to see it before. She took the job. Dominic adjusted his schedule, woke up earlier, stayed later, made sure someone was always there for the girls. It was exhausting. Some nights he barely slept. Some mornings he showed up at Vera's apartment running on coffee and determination. But she was playing again. Really playing. Coming home with that light hair, eyes that he remembered from when they first met. Talking about music with the passion that she made him fall in love with her in the first place. It was worth every sleepless night. Month by month, things got better. Vera started trusting him more, started letting her guard down, started looking at him the way he used to, before he ruined everything. One night, after a particularly good performance, she came home glowing. You should have seen it, she said. The audience was incredible. Standing ovation. I have not had a standing ovation in years. I'm so proud of you. She looked at him, took his face in her hands. I love you, she said. I tried not to, told myself I was being stupid, but I love you. I love who you've become. I love watching you with the girls. I love that you made this possible. Dominic's chest went tight. I love you too, he said. I never stopped. She kissed him, not tentative this time, not testing, really kissed him the way she used to. Back when they were young and broke and believed they could survive anything together. When she pulled back, she was smiling. Stay tonight? She said. Are you sure? I am sure. He stayed. For the first time in years, Dominic felt like maybe, just maybe, things were going to be okay. The conversation they needed. The girls were 3 when Vera asked the question. They were in the kitchen. The girls were asleep. Dominic had made dinner because Vera had rehearsal and he had learned to cook over the past year. Nothing fancy, but edible. They were going to start asking questions soon, Vera said. About why we do not live together. About why Dada leaves every night. I know. What do we tell them? The truth, Dominic said. Age-appropriate versions, but the truth. That I am their father and you're the mother. We love them, we love each other, but we do not live together because life is complicated and sometimes families look different from what you see in books. Farah nodded slowly. But what if they ask, why are we not like 10% her husband? Then we told them that Dada made mistakes, big ones, and Mama and Dada are still figuring things out. Farah was quiet for a moment. I've been thinking, she said, about figuring things out. Yeah. She took a breath in. I want you to move in. Dominic stopped breathing. Not into the bedroom. Farah added quickly. Not like that. Not yet. But into the apartment. The couch folds out, or we can get a bigger place, something with a spare room. Stop. I'm tired of you leaving. I'm tired of explaining to the girls why Dada goes home at night. I'm tired of doing this halfway. Are you sure? No, Farah admitted. I am terrified. Every time I think I'm taking another step with you, I hear this voice in my head telling me I'm being stupid, that you're gonna hurt me again. She looked at him. But I'm more tired of being afraid than I am of being hurt. So yes, I am sure. I want you here full time, if you want to be here. I want to be here, Dominic said, more than I've ever wanted anything. Then it settled. Her smiled, small and scared and hopeful. You're moving in. They found a bigger apartment, 3 bedrooms, one for the girls, one for Vera, one that was technically Dominic's, but that he rarely slept in after the first few months. They did not make a big announcement, did not sit the girls down and explain, just slowly, naturally, let Dada become a permanent fixture. Dada lives here now? Iris asked one morning. Dada lives here now, Vera confirmed. Good, Iris said, and went back to eating her cereal. It was that simple, for the girls at least. For Dominic and Vera, it was more complicated. There were arguments, tensions, moments when the past came roaring back and they had to talk through it again. But I kept talking, kept working, kept choosing each other, even when it had been easier to walk away. And slowly, gradually, the life they had destroyed started rebuilding itself. Different this time, stronger, built on honesty instead of assumptions, on presence instead of promises. It was not perfect. Nothing ever is, but it was real. And real, Dominic was learning, was better than perfect had ever been. 5 years later, the house was chaos. Iris was arguing about breakfast, something about wanting pancakes instead of eggs. Ren was at the piano, practicing skills badly, beautifully, with the same stubborn determination Vera had at that age. Marigold had caught her hair again and was pretending she had not, despite the obvious evidence scattered across the bathroom floor. Dominic stood in the middle of it all, trying to referee 3 conversations at once, while also making coffee and answering emails and being a person. Vera came downstairs in a concert dress. Performance tonight. Model her. Big deal. You're gonna be late, she said. I am always late now. They stopped, expecting something else. She laughed, crossed the kitchen, kissed him quickly. I love you. I love you too. She looked at the chaos around them, at the 3 girls who had grown so fast it made his chest ache, at the life they had built from the wreckage of everything they had destroyed. We did it, she said quietly. We actually did it. We did. Iris appeared at Dominic's elbow. Dada, pancakes. You already had eggs, but I want pancakes. You should have said that before I made eggs. Iris considered this. Then she grinned. He grinned. Very stubbornness. Pancakes tomorrow? Pancakes tomorrow. Sure enough. Ren hit a wrong note and growled dramatically. Marigold slunk past, trying to reach the bathroom to clean up the evidence of her haircut before anyone noticed. Vera caught her by the shoulder. Nice try, Marigold sighed. It was an accident. You accidentally caught your own hair? Pause. Yes. Dominic covered his laugh with a cough. Vera shot him a look. You deal with this, she said. I have to go. She kissed him again, then each of the girls. Then she was gone, off to make music, off to live the dream she had almost given up. Dominic looked at his 3 daughters, at the life he had almost thrown away, at everything he had almost missed. All right, he said. Marigold, bathroom. We're fixing your hair. Ren, that sounded great. Keep practicing. Iris, help me clean up breakfast. I do not want to, Iris said. No one asks what you want. Come on. She grumbled but helped. They all did, eventually. That was how it worked now, together, as a family. Later that night, after the girls were asleep, after Vera came home glowing from a standing ovation, they stood on the couch in the living room and did not say anything for a while. Sometimes silence is enough. Sometimes just being next to someone, knowing they're there, knowing they're staying is more than words could ever be. I was thinking about the elevator, Dominic said finally. What elevator? The one at the hospital, when I pressed the wrong floor. Vera was quiet for a moment. I think about it too, she said. What would have happened if you had pressed 4 instead of 3? I would have missed you, missed them, missed all of this. Or maybe he would have found it eventually. Maybe it would have worked out anyway. Maybe. But I'm glad it happened the way he did. Why? Because I needed to see you. Needed that shock. Needed to understand exactly what I had lost before I could figure out how to earn it back. Vera leaned against him. You know what your mother said to me before the surgery? What? She said, my son is an idiot, but he's capable of being better. Give him a chance to prove it. Dominic laughed. This sounds like her. She was right. You were an idiot. I know, but you got better. I am trying. She looked up at him. You succeeded. In case you were wondering, you succeeded. Dominic held it tighter, looked around the house they shared, the life they had built, the family they had become. Some men measure their wealth in dollars. Dominic Hayes measured his in heartbeats. 3 little hearts he almost never knew. 1 heart he almost destroyed. And his own, still beating, still trying, still grateful for every single day. This was his wealth. This was his life. And he would not trade it for anything in the world. The end. If the story moved you, leave a comment below. Tell me what you would have done in his position. Tell me what you learned. Tell me what you felt. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button. Turn on notifications, because on this channel, we do not just tell stories. We tell the ones that stay with you, the ones that make you think, the ones that remind you what matters. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching until the end. Until next time.